Hi everybody, welcome to Interruptis. We are back with more episodes. I'm still your girl Samaria, and I'm still talking about dating gone wrong. Now, happy Pride. This month is dedicated to focusing on episodes where I have dated not men, but women. I am a pansexual person. Pansexual means you are open to dating someone regardless of their gender. For me, that doesn't mean I'm interested in every single person I come across. I have my standards, and I'm looking for somebody who has their act together, who's interested in self-improvement and in integrity, the way that I am, and also somebody who is focused on their goals, who makes me feel special, valued, and respected in the same way that I would put energy towards them to feel the same. This episode is called Psycho-the-rapist because it's about somebody I was friends with who was a therapist, and she kind of ended up being psycho. So here we go. 2 years ago, I met this woman at a pool party downtown San Diego where there was a lot of dancing. We kind of kept running into each other there, and we became friends, only friends. At the time, she was dating one man, and she told me she was polyamorous and bisexual, even though she was being monogamous with this one man. Fine, no judgment. I'm not polyamorous. I date one person at a time. It's too confusing to date multiple people at the same time for me. I can't keep people's stories straight. Oh, were you the one who was from Wisconsin, or was this other guy or girl from Wisconsin? It's too much. And I also think that dating multiple people ends up dividing your ability to focus on people and your ability to give people a chance. That's just me. But if people want to be polyamorous, and if it works for them and everybody is a consenting adult in that mix, more power to you. You do that. Anyways, this woman that I was talking to said she was bisexual, said she was polyamorous, but she was with one man being monogamous. And okay, fine. So a couple of months ago, we've been friends for this time frame, and based on continuously running into one another. And this guy broke up with her, really broke her heart. It has been a couple of months, maybe even a few months since that happened. And so since then, we've seen each other and gone to pool parties and met up at the pool parties to dance. And definitely I've noticed some of her behavior where she's made out with complete randos, like somebody saying hi to her, and then like 30 seconds later, she's making out with this dude that she just met. One day it was like 3 different dudes within the same couple hour period. It's not what I would do. I wouldn't choose that for myself now. Definitely wouldn't have chosen that for myself in my 20s or 30s, but you know, whatever, to each their own. So finally, you know, sometime after that, I was thinking, well, she's not dating anybody. I'm not dating anybody. Why not me ask her? And so I called her up on the phone and I said, hey, I really view you primarily as my friend, and I wouldn't ever want to make you feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, you're not dating anyone and I'm not. And so would you be interested in going on a date? And if you don't view me that way, if you just see me as a friend and nothing more, that is fine. Just tell me and I will not have hurt feelings. But if you're open to it, you know, it could be fun. You never know what could happen. And she said, you know, I would be open to that. Yes. And I said, okay, well, I'd like to take you on a date. And I asked her if she wanted to do sushi and sake. And then after that, do a paddle boat trip at night around the San Diego Bay that has a pretty view of the skyline. And she said yes. And so I asked her maybe on a Monday. The date was like on a Friday. So she had like all week to get back to me if she changed her mind. On Friday of the date, she calls me a few hours before the date and she texts me. She texts me, I don't want to do anything sexual. If you want to cancel the date, then that's fine. And it's like, who says that before any date? Would you tell a man that? Like, just because we're going on a date doesn't mean we have to do something sexual. And that's what I texted her as much. Like, we can still go on the date and not do anything sexual. And I still felt that was weird. And honestly, I did want to cancel because that's just like odd and not a great way to start something. But the reservation was already made for the paddle boats. That was $100 that I paid for. Mistake. Anyways, I should have just gone by myself and ate it. So anyways, I pick her up from the date, which was a schlep from here to get her and to bring her back here. And she was like, oh, I should have just driven to you. And it's like, well, I asked you on the date. So I thought that was kind of a little bit weird that she would have like been fine with me picking her up and everything and then bringing her back here when she just didn't seem like she was totally into it, but whatever. We do the sushi and the sake, and the bill comes, and she's like, do you want me to pay half? And it's like, I'm not going to say yes. I invited her. I wish that she should have said, I think I should pay half, or please let me pay half. Because again, she clearly wasn't into me and wasn't into the date. But whatever, I still was processing the whole situation, and I thought she might be open to it. So I said, no, I invited you. I'm fine to pay for it. Then I got a lift and had to pay for the lift so we could go to the paddleboarding experience. And then on that, I just was getting vibes from her like every other time I've dated a woman who's kind of in experimentation mode, but not really gay at all. I'm not totally gay. I'm a little gay, but I think I was gayer than her because she was just acting like, I don't know, like she wasn't into the whole scene. And I was like, have you ever dated a woman ever? Because it kind of feels like you haven't. And she's like, no, I did once. And she's the person who taught me to be poly. And I think that was in college. And I'm sorry, college doesn't count. Right? Like, no, dog. Anyway, so whatever, I was like, well, look, it's very much me feeling like this is friend vibes, and I'm not sure really what this is gonna look like, because then it's just me being your friend but now paying for everything that you're doing, which I don't know if that's fair. And she's like, no, that's a good question. I can plan the dates too, and I can pay for the next date, and I'll plan the next date. And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. And then I said, okay, well, you said you don't want anything sexual, so is this just us, again, being friends, paying for one another? Because then I don't get it. And she's like, well, we'll just have to kind of see how it goes. And I said, okay. I ended up then kissing her on the paddle boat, and she kissed me back. And it was sweet, and it was fine. And then the paddle boat experience ended, and she did pay for the lift to come back to my car, and she said, okay, well, would you mind driving me back to my place and we could hang out there for a little? Fine. We got there, and so she invited me to hang out. I even had said, well, should I bring, like, is it okay if I bring a t-shirt and comfortable pants if we're gonna be hanging out for a little while? And she said yes. She could have said, no, we're not gonna be hanging out that long. She could have said many things. She could have said, can you drive me home? And that's the end of the date. But she invited me in. Everybody knows then the date is still kind of going. So we ended up kissing more on her couch, and then I do literally this. That's all I do. It wasn't even a crazy move. It was very fifth grade. And she stops me and she says, I think we should slow down. And I say, okay. And I immediately stop and I say, hey, I'm really sorry. I hope I didn't cross any boundaries. And she was just like, no, you didn't. And she said, but kissing is really nice. And I said, okay. And then maybe 10 minutes later, she was just like, okay, well, it's getting really late. And that really after that, we were just talking. And I said, okay, I'll go. And I said, thanks for coming out. And then didn't hear from her for a couple of weeks. She messaged me for my birthday saying happy birthday. I said, thank you. And she said, I hope it's the best one ever. The next weekend I said, hey, I'm gonna go to the pool party if you wanna go. And she said, I'm really trying to stay away from hookup culture. And I thought to myself, it's not really hookup culture if you go and don't hook up, which is what I do. I just go and I don't hook up, and people try to touch me, I say, don't touch me, I'm dancing. There's a very important word, and that word is no. There's a very important thing called boundaries, and if you don't want something, you have to voice them. And so then I say to her in a text message, look, Oh, she said, so she doesn't want to go to the pool party. And I say, no problem. And just so you know, I'm getting the vibe that we should just be friends. And she said, I'm so sorry that we're not aligned. I said, don't be sorry. And it's like, girl, I don't care. I just was like considering this, and like, get over yourself. I didn't say that, but I didn't care. And like, it kind of seemed like a bunch of bullshit that I had to pay for a bunch of stuff. And she was clearly not interested at all. I felt a little bit used in that matter, but whatever. I was willing to just move on. Sometimes it goes like that. So she's then like saying, oh, you deserve all that you want. And I said, thank you so much. It's no problem. Like, see you when I see you. And then a couple weeks later, I messaged her saying, oh, there's this going on if you want to go. No response. There's this going on if you want to go. No response. So I realized it was like 2 weeks of her ignoring me. So I messaged her saying, hey, I realize that you've been ignoring me, and that's not very nice. And then she messages me back, hi, Sam. I know I haven't been messaging you back, but I really haven't been messaging anybody back. And it's because I'm neurodivergent. And, you know, in neurodivergency, sometimes you have dips in energy. And I'm thinking, this is a bunch of bullshit.com. And I wrote, I don't accept. Oh, and there's a second part for what she said. She said, on a separate, unrelated note, I don't feel like you respected my boundaries on the date. And I don't know what the confusion was, because I was very clear that I didn't want anything physical before, during, or after the date. And she said, so I've been very weary of our friendship because I didn't feel heard. And I'm thinking, this is a bunch of bullshit. So I wrote back to her, first, I don't accept that you are using neurodivergency as an excuse. We're all responsible for how we communicate with others and how our actions impact other people, neurodivergencies or not. And she should know that as a therapist. If I didn't say this is the Psycho-the-rapist story, it is, because she's kind of psycho. Then the second part, I wrote, you were not consistent at all in your messaging. You shouldn't have gone on the date because you clearly weren't interested. During the date, you kissed me back. If you didn't want to kiss, you should have said that you didn't want to kiss. Then when we were at your place, you kissed me back. And as soon as you said we should stop, I stopped. I didn't try to have sex with you. You said you didn't want to be sexual, and we didn't have sex, and I didn't try to have sex with you. And when you said stop, I immediately did and said, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't cross any of your boundaries. And you said, no, you did not. Kissing is nice. Now you're saying that you didn't want any of that. So I don't want to be friends with somebody who will not hold themselves accountable in their inconsistent messages and actions. Good luck to you. And I blocked her on all fronts because it very much sounds like she was looking to experiment. It also felt like she was just looking to get like doted on, but not actually do anything. And she had really no intention of going on a date. She just wanted me to pay for her shit. And at the end of the day, that's a bunch of nonsense. No, hope you enjoyed all of that, because I don't know a lot of men who will put in a lot of effort. I think she's got issues where a man would treat her quite poorly and she's willing to kiss complete strangers. Oh, that was in my message as well. Like, I've seen you kiss complete strangers randomly, and yet you're making a big deal out of me kissing you when I actually brought you on a date and we know each other. So it sounds like she kind of changed her mind. She's not okay with her sexuality. I don't think she's even really gay at all. I'm more gay than she is, and I'm not even that gay. So screw all of that. And so, yeah, Psycho-the-rapist. This is a person who's a therapist. I don't know, yo. Thanks for letting me process. Happy Pride. More stories to come.